This is lesson 6.5. We're going to talk about inequalities in one triangle. So the triangle inequality theorem says a triangle only exists if the sum of the two smaller sides is greater than the larger side, or the largest side. So if we add up the two smallest pieces, it should be more than the biggest piece. So for example 1, determine if the sides could form a triangle, prove your answer with an inequality. So I'm going to identify the two smaller ones. I'm going to add them up, and I'm checking to see if it's greater than 24. So 8 plus 17 is 25. 25 is greater than 24, so our answer is yes. For the next one, the two smaller pieces are 28 and 22. So I'm going to add 28 plus 22 and compare that to the 50. So 28 plus 22 is 50. 50 is not greater than 50. 50 is equal to 50, so this is no. It cannot be equal. It has to be greater than. For C, my two smallest are the 25 and the 12, so we're going to add up 25 plus 12, check it greater than 35. So this is going to be 37 is greater than 35. That is true. So our answer is yes. And for our final one, 12 and 11 are the smallest pieces. So 12 plus 11 is 23. 23 is not bigger than 24. So our answer is no. So here's a check-in for you to try. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. For example 2, given the two sides of the triangle, what is the range of possible side lengths for the third side? So when they talk about a range, we're going to say that x is between two other numbers. We're going to use two inequality symbols, and we're going to put two numbers on either side. One side is going to be the numbers subtracted. So if I do 22 minus 14, I get 8. The other side is if I add them together. So 22 plus 14 is 36. So the possible range of values is x would have to be between 8 and 36. So for B, if I subtracted them, 31 minus 28, we would say 3 is less than x is less than, and now I'm going to add 31 plus 28, and we get 59. For our last one, if I subtracted 11 and 3, I get 8 is less than x is less than. If I add 11 plus 3, I get 14. Here are some check-ins for you to try. You could pause if you'd like. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. For example 3, this is very much like the last one, except we are going to check off whichever ones fit our range. So I could do the subtracting and get 12. If I do the adding, I get 42. So it has to be bigger than 12, but less than 42. So 34 is between those two numbers. 12 is equal to it, so that's out. 29 is between those two numbers. 18 is between those two numbers, and 43 is too high, so that's out. So it would have been those three. So here's a check-in for you to try. Pause now if you'd like. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. We can also determine which sides are bigger than others and which angles are bigger than others based on the other information. So to order angles, the angles of a triangle can be put in order by comparing the sides. So the smallest angle is always opposite the shortest side, and the largest angle is always opposite the longest side. And then the same will be true for the sides. The sides of a triangle can be put in order by comparing the angles. So the smallest side is always opposite the smallest angle, and the largest side is always opposite the largest angle. Whenever it asks me to place something in order, I will likely place the other thing in order first. So if they're asking me to put the angles in order, I would put the sides in order first and use those to determine the angles, and vice versa. So for our first example here, I have my three sides of my triangle. The smallest number was 26. That was side XY. The next side was 29. That was WX. And then the biggest side was 43, and that was WY. Every time we have a side, it is across from an angle. So here, the side XY is opposite the angle over here. So XY is across from angle W. The other thing I could say is with the 3 letters in the triangle, the only letter that wasn't used on this side was W. So using that same logic, the only letter not used for side WX is Y. And then the only point not being used for WY is X. So this would be my angles in order from least to greatest. Do another one. My shortest side was 7, that was BC. You don't always have to write the numbers. My next side was 10, that was AB. And my last side was 13, that was AC. So the missing letter here was A. The missing letter here was C. And the missing letter here was B. So those are my angles of this triangle from least to greatest. Here's a check-in for you to try. You can pause now if you'd like. Answers are posted in Google Classroom. Now we're going to try putting the sides in order from least to greatest. We need to know all 3 angles to do this. So if we don't know all 3 of them, we're going to use, our knowledge of triangles adding to 180. So if I add 42 and 103 together, we get 145. And if I take that away from 180, I get 35. So my last angle in this picture is really 35 degrees. So now the smallest angle, which was 35, was F. The next angle, which was 42, was E. And the biggest angle, which was 103, was D. We're still looking across. So across from this 35 was ED. Or the 2 letters that we didn't use when we talked about angle F were E and D. So the 2 letters we didn't use when we said E were F and D. And then the 2 letters we didn't use when we said D were F and E. So now those are my sides in order from least to greatest. So let's try another one. Let's order the sides from least to greatest. I know I already have 31 and 57, which is 88 degrees. So taking that away from 180, we get 92 degrees. So my smallest angle was J, then we had L, then we had K. So the 2 letters not used here were L, K. The 2 letters not used here were J, K. And the 2 letters not used here were J, L. It's also okay to have it flipped around. LK is the same thing as KL. That's not going to make a difference for naming our sides. So there's another check-in here for you to try. Pause now if you'd like. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. For example 6, we have which statement about triangle TUV is false? So it would be helpful to know the last angle. So 84 plus 48 together is 132. And if I take that from 180, I get 48 degrees. So what I noticed about this triangle is that it's acute, but also that 2 angles are the same, which means 2 sides would be the same, making it isosceles. So that is not false. Now I'm comparing some sides. I know that TU and TV are going to be equal by the base angle converse. And I know because 84 is bigger than these angles, UV is going to be the biggest side. So when they say that UV is bigger than TU, that's true because UV has to be the biggest side. If I look at C, that's the opposite. C says UV is less than TV. There's no way my biggest side can be smaller than another side. So even without checking B, I'm confident that I could say C is my true answer. We can check B. It's saying that UV plus TV is greater than TU. So if UV is the biggest side, adding anything to it will make it greater than another smaller side. So we know that's true as well, which confirms our answer is C. There's one last problem for you to try. It is a select all that apply problem. Pause now if you'd like, but this is also the end of the lesson for section 6.5.